Tottenham and the transfer window, arguably the most toxic relationship in the world of football. We all know that there is just so much drama going on behind the scenes of this Morgan Gibbs-White deal, and that has consequently put a halt to Tottenham's moves in the transfer window in other areas that we need to strengthen in. There is only 3 weeks to go until the Premier League season starts, and we have that all-important Super Cup against PSG. So we now need to seriously get a move on in the transfer window and get any other deals we are eyeing up over the line if we're going to have any chance of hitting the ground running under Thomas Frank. Now, before I get into this video, I just want to say another massive thank you to all of you new subscribers on the channel recently. The support has been so overwhelming and so greatly appreciated. And if you are new to the channel, feel free to head down and hit that subscribe button. I post across YouTube, TikTok, Twitter. I have multiple videos a week coming for you guys, as well as live streams this season. So if you want to stay informed as well, make sure you hit that notification bell. So, Tottenham fans across the world are frustrated at the moment for a number of different reasons. Now, we've seen the first pre-season game under Thomas Frank, beating Reading 2-0, a good performance, seeing the new faces in Luka Vuskovic, in Mohamed Kudus, and yet there is still a sour taste in most of our mouths because we have reverted back to our ways of old of moving too slowly in this transfer window. We know that the main issue is Morgan Gibbs-White and this deal and the fact it's being held up, that Forest are holding us to a legal complaint, all of this illegal approach business, but yet that shouldn't stop Tottenham from moving on to other targets while this is being resolved behind the scenes. I can understand from a Daniel Levy perspective or from a board's perspective that they want to put a lot of focus on wrapping this deal up. But it is seeming more and more likely that Nottingham Forest are going to drag this out for as long as they possibly can. And if that is going to be the case, we cannot afford to waste any more time. Every single day, I am seeing more and more people saying online that we should move on from the Morgan Gibbs-White deal, focus on signing someone else in that position, or just moving on to other targets and other areas of the pitch in general. And whilst I don't agree with that, I can completely understand where they're coming from. At the end of the season last year, it was very much understood that Spurs needed a lot of summer incomings to be able to compete in the Premier League, in the Carabao Cup, FA Cup, Champions League, all together next season. Thomas Frank made it very clear in one of his first interviews as Tottenham boss that he wanted to be able to compete on all 4 fronts. And we saw firsthand last year that our squad is currently not capable of doing that. And when you put it into perspective, Tottenham have only signed 1 player that is capable of improving that starting 11 as it stands in Mohamed Kudus. And while he looked electric and really exciting in his first outing for Spurs against Reading, it is not nearly enough in terms of what we need to avoid finishing that low down in the Premier League table again next season. Tottenham have to, while this Gibbs-White deal is on ice, focus on other areas. You could argue that we need still a number 6 defensive midfielder, another striker, and potentially even a left back if we are to cover all bases and make sure that we have our backs covered in case anyone gets injured next season. So what are we currently looking at and why haven't we made a move to bring players in? Well, there is some sort of movement behind the scenes, although it's nothing particularly concrete at the moment. The main bit of transfer news that we're holding on to at the moment, away from the Gibbs-White stuff, is that Spurs are very interested in Yoane Wissa and are looking to potentially bring him in as another striker for the club. Now, we know that Richarlison wasn't part of the Tottenham squad that faced Reading at the weekend, and it is believed that we would be open to selling him this summer for the right price. And as such, we are looking at striker targets, and I think Wissa would be a fantastic addition for Tottenham Hotspur. It seems Newcastle and Nottingham Forest are the other 2 clubs interested in him, and Wissa has actually left the Brentford pre-season camp in Portugal because he has become unsettled at the club and he wants to explore a move away. Brentford have always been adamant that they don't want to sell both Mbeumo and Wissa in the same transfer window. However, with Wissa leaving and directly going to the chief of football at Brentford, saying that he would prefer to leave this summer, that situation may change. Again though, Spurs must act quickly if we do want to move for him. When I'm recording this, which is Tuesday night, Newcastle have just had a £25 million bid rejected for Wissa, with the Bees valuing him at closer to the 40 to 50 million mark. Newcastle are expected to return with a new offer for him in the next coming couple of days, and yet Spurs are still there or thereabouts. There was a report that came out a few weeks ago saying that out of the three clubs, Wissa would prefer to have a return to Thomas Frank's team and stay in London, putting Spurs in the driving seat for a potential deal. But we are sitting on our hands while we try and figure this Gibbs-White stuff out, when there is a perfectly good deal to be made for Wissa if we can bring that price down slightly, because I don't think he's worth more than £40 million. But that is just an example of players being there and available for us, but we're not moving on them because we can't seem to be able to focus on more than one thing at a time. It's the same with the number 6 stuff. Reports have emerged today suggesting that Spurs need to offload a midfielder first if they are going to be able to bring a new one into the club this summer. The strongest linked name to the club for that defensive midfield role that we know we are so desperate for is someone that I mentioned in a previous video if you want to check that out, and it is João Paulinho from Bayern Munich. German side is said to be open to letting him leave this summer, and Spurs would be more leaning towards a loan deal for him rather than paying 20 to 30 million for a 30-year-old who maybe is getting towards the latter stages of his career. Again, I think this is something we could make happen relatively quickly if we wanted to. We all know it's not going to work that way, but I don't think Adam Wharton or someone like Carlos Baleba is attainable this summer. Paulinho on loan would be an ideal signing for us because it's a nice stopgap for a year, and then we can potentially return for our top targets next summer if we can't get something done in the next couple of weeks. And then in defence, we're being linked with all sorts. There are rumours of Mark Gehi being resurrected after a rejected move for him in January. And a few other names that we're being linked with include Kobbie Mainoo, who could be that midfield player we're looking for, Alejandro Garnacho as well. So there is a lot of stuff flying around, and it is just frustrating Tottenham fans more and more, and you can see why. I don't think there is a Tottenham fan out there that believes that just Kudus in the transfer window will do, so there is work to be done, and the longer we leave it, the more risky it's getting towards the start of this season, that we could start slowly and fall behind our rivals before the season's even really got going. And this has always been the frustrating thing with Spurs, is we've always left things to the last minute, always chasing the best deals, the cheapest deals, and I know this Gibbs-White situation is slightly different, but look, if it takes an extra £5 to £10 million to get this deal over the line and shut Forest up, we should seriously just consider paying it, get him on our pre-season tour to South Korea, get him embedded in the squad, and then he can hit the ground running for that first game of the season against Burnley, or even that Super Cup game against PSG as well. I think the conclusion to take from all of this is we just seem to not be capable of getting things done. And I know there may be things going on behind the scenes that we're not aware of or not seeing. But with Fabio Paratici's ban ending and Johan Langer maybe stalling on a couple of things while we try and sort this Gibbs-White deal stuff out, the anger and the frustration among the Spurs fan base is only going to continue to grow. When you look at our rivals around us, Arsenal getting a deal done for Gyökeres, Man United getting a deal done eventually for Bryan Mbeumo, Chelsea going in for Xavi Simons now, Liverpool going in for more players, looking at getting Ekitike over the line. There is so much improvement amongst those teams we want to be battling with and competing with across all competitions this season, and we are lagging behind. We need to go forwards, and as it stands, we're going backwards. We have got to get a move on in this transfer window and chase up some of these targets if we're going to have a serious chance at winning silverware again this year. Let me know what you're thinking of this transfer window so far. Are you thinking that this is becoming a bit of a shit show right now because of how long this Gibbs-White stuff is taking? Do you think we should walk away from it? Do you think we should put it on ice until something comes about in terms of a legal breakthrough and pursue these other targets? And do you think any of the names that I've mentioned in this video scenario would be a good fit for Spurs. I understand that the whole situation is frustrating, but I guess for now we just have to trust that the club are going to get things done eventually, regardless of how long it takes. I just really hope that it's sooner rather than later. But there are still arguably 3 positions we need to fill in this squad by the start of the season. 3 positions, 3 weeks, not a lot of time. What is going to happen in the next 21 days? I don't know. You guys don't know. Hopefully we get some clarification soon, but this is just more of a bit of a frustrating rant and sort of highlighting to you guys what we still need in this squad. White is obviously one, a striker, a central midfielder to play that number 6, and arguably a left back still. Yet here we are, over a week and a half after this Gibbs-White deal first came to light, nothing is happening. So how long are we realistically gonna leave it? Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and like the video as well. Hit that notification bell if you don't want to miss any videos or live streams from me. I'll be back towards the end of the week with a preview for our second pre-season game against Luton, so look out for that. But for now, enjoy the rest of your week, and as always, come on you Spurs.